Hello, 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 ladies. This podcast is designed exclusively for you. This is her talk show where we dive into inspiring thoughts, ideas, and stories, all with one purpose to empower and uplift women like you. I'm Sabrina Victoria, your host and guide on this journey of self discovery and growth. I invite you to hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. Together, we are creating a vibrant community of empowered women. Get ready to unleash your brilliance. Her talk show starts now.
We come to you every day with the best speakers, relationship coaches, spiritual mentors, trailblazers, business owners, authors, young hustlers, podcasters, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, therapists, financial advisors, and more. We ask our guests one question. What do you know that I don't know? Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of Her Talk Show. We have had over 500 women grace this stage, and we are adding another one to the list today. If you're listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, #replay so we can send you some love in the comments. Either way, if you are watching in this video, if you could please share it wherever you're at so we can get more eyes and more ears on the awesome content that we are sharing today. Today, I have with me an amazing woman, Miss Sheila. Sheila has built her first website in 2004. It's so interesting because that seems like just yesterday, but that was like 20 years ago. Crazy. And since then, she has gone on to build 6 to 8 websites, 2 YouTube channels. She is an active Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn user with a master's degree in creative arts education. She taught art for 5 years and wrote 3 books. She now teaches classes and helps seniors use the phone to connect, communicate, create, and share what they love with their loved ones. Her work has fostered a community of individuals committed to living purposefully and authentically. Whether seeking self-discovery, personal transformation, or creative expansion, Sheila is dedicated to guiding individuals in shifting perspectives and embracing the fullness of their unique selves. Welcome.
Thank you for that introduction. And thank you so very much for having me as a guest. You do such amazing work, and you've got some awesome people. So I am honored to be amongst that group. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I so appreciate you have been in the Her Nation community for quite a while now. And I'm so excited to finally get you on the podcast so you can share some of your expertise in the arena of tech. And I'm just blown away. And I know I'm not the only one. Sheila attends our wisdom studio pretty much regularly. And she's always given us tips and tricks on tech. And some of us younger ones are like, wait a minute, how do you know that? So I just love it so, so much. How did you end up in this realm of tech? Like, how did this even happen where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to dive into all the tech stuff no matter what?
Well, I'll tell you. First, I want to thank Elle Romeslow for introducing us. And although I've never seen her on the Monday wisdom programs, I see she's always commenting. So I'm sure you'll see and hear this, Rome. So thank you. How do I dive in curiosity? Well, it's interesting, Sabrina, and we were talking about that the first time we met. I've always been driven by connecting, curiosity, and creativity. And actually, if you look at the banners on my YouTube channel and on my Treasure Your Life Now, you'll see the underpinning of my work is to connect, communicate, create. So what happens is I'm known by some as the tech savvy senior. I am not particularly tech savvy in that if you wanted answers to how to use your computer, but it's my curiosity, which has had me when something comes up, somebody asks me a question, I search Google or ask friends. I never look at the manual. So that, as I said, did I just say it's so when I was in aging or reversing aging conferences a couple of years ago, what I heard was that the three things that keep us young or reverse aging are connection, curiosity, and creativity. So that made me feel really good about my work. When I asked about what you know, or you asked me what I know that you don't know, I asked about your smartphone. So what I'm going to do now is go through quickly some basics on the phone that you may well know, and they are things that I did not know that I discovered much later. So I'll assume sometimes people don't know it. And does that work for you?
100%. I would love that.
Okay. So basically, well, one of the things, the underpinning also of all my work is, as you said, the magic of shifting perspectives, changing perspectives, shifting moods. And I'll be covering this briefly. 5 eye-catcher photos will get you out of a funk. I'll explain Banana Sky D. I was a caregiver, so I dealt with a lot of stress and emotion and anger. And one of my books, Writing for Healing, writing for self-discovery, creating breakthroughs, came out of that, and writing using creative methods. With my Banana Sky DVD, I missed the sound of my husband's voice. That's how I got into using the voice memos. And then the Banana Sky DVD, which I'll explain later, was getting out of frustration, just taking pictures on my phone and watching them on a slideshow gave a relaxation and release. So I actually created it in DVD for other caregivers, sick people like to watch it, etc. Now I have to look about it getting electronically, since DVDs are not very much out there anymore. So briefly, important to know your settings. And the few basics that I discovered, especially for safety and privacy, is checking locations. When you go to your settings, you see locations. Turn off and block almost all of them. You don't want people to know where you are necessarily. And if you need it for, let's say, a GPS, you'll get a notice. Just block, go to settings and turn it on. You can determine the sounds if you want. If you're on something, do not disturb, I discovered more recently. You can set up do not disturb so important people will get it, and that will do notifications and the phone, actually phone calling. Also, going to notifications, you can choose how you want to see your notifications. Sometimes you'll hear people binging and bonging all the time. You don't have to have that. You can just have pop-up notifications. And for phone calls, I have set up an app. I actually paid for it. I think some of the app you can have it is RoboKiller. And RoboKiller actually is what it does is if the contacts aren't in your contact, the person calling will get a message and have a chance to leave a voicemail. If they don't, usually it's a spam mail, so you're not bothered with any of that. And the phone won't ring for those people that are there, on the RoboKiller. Now, my phone doesn't have my list. My paper has the list. Okay.
Wait a minute. So with that RoboKiller, your phone won't ring unless the phone number's in your phone? Wow. So then that person will get a message that just says like, hey, you're not registered in this phone. Please leave a voicemail if you're trying to connect with Sheila.
Yeah, I think you kind of have a choice of messages also. And then you'll get a message. I mean, I'll get a message that was answering because I believe anybody that wants something, they'll leave you a message.
Yeah.
Or it will connect if they have a right thing. So I will get a notification from RoboKiller that there was a call, and it will show up on a listing of my phone calls. Oh, somebody just said she loves RoboKiller.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know some people are watching us
Yes.
or live. Okay, another thing, a lot of us use the phone. Some people only use the phone for email. Now, this discovery came out of having actually, me of all people, spammed in lost a lot of money in seeing something from Apple. Now, it happened to have come from a time when I was in the midst of something and having some challenges. And I never heard of gift card scam. And so I purchased thousands of dollars in gift cards to protect myself. And what I discovered from this, and I always know, well, I know never in the emails check that, but that wasn't an email. Check clicking links in the email unless you know. But there is a way you'll see from your friend. I mean, they were perfect. They showed Apple ID. It looked perfect. Always, if you suspect something, tap or click on the link to see who the sender is. It may have said Apple ID and it looked very official, but click on that and that will show you the actual sender. And then on the phone, I mean, you can actually report it also and go beyond that. Thank you, Mary Fran, and all these people that are commenting. Okay. Yeah. So that's the big thing in all the security and setting I wanted to go into before I get into what my most precious apps are.
I love that.
Although I have like 5 pages with folders with I don't even know how many apps, the one main app, aside from the 2 that we talked about, that I really appreciate is the Reminder app. Now, I know I'm talking a lot about iPhone, but almost everything I'm talking about will apply if you have an Android phone. When I work with people with both phones, we'll check it out. And I'll always search, what does the Samsung have this? Okay, so in the Reminder app, I know we all use our calendars for appointments, classes, etc. But there are likely times that you may be taking medication, or you want to remember to call somebody. It doesn't have to be a calendar link. You can set it up in reminders. For me, it's been especially useful. Like for now, I'm getting over, I hope, gone, an eye infection. So I had antibiotic drops 5 days, 3 times a day. You can't even put the drops in a container. a drop twice a day for a week for 7 days, and 1 drop for 7 days. So you put that in the reminder, it'll pop up once to remind you, and then it'll just stay on the desktop showing you that you have a reminder that still has to be checked. So that's my main app that I really am relying on for efficiency. Okay, now we'll get into the 2 mysterious apps that I love. And that's my camera, the camera, but then the voice memos or the recorder. In the iPhone, voice memos is a default app. Android has a default app, or there's also an app called Tablet. I can put the whole thing then that's usable on both phones. And then there is the video editing app, which is iMovie editing is default. Not default because you actually have to go to the App Store for it, but it's free and you can download that. And there's also recommended by a professional friend of mine, KindMaster, for Android phones, and it's also free on the iPhone, so you can use that. Those are the 2 apps. Okay, so why are those important to me? Those who know me know that I always talk about eye catcher photos. Part of what I do is like using creative methods for emotional release, things like that. I assume you've experienced at times when you're in your head and you've gotten stuck, Sabrina. Well, my solution is take your phone or any camera if you don't have a phone, look around you where somebody actually goes like this. Find something that catches your eye. Not for beauty, or it might be for beauty, but small ends. So right now I'm looking at a pillow and wires on my floor. Take a picture of that. 5 pictures shifts your perspective. I mean, gets you out of that mood and into a different space.
Mm.
And then you actually can be using them for writing later, perhaps, it gives you a message and things like that. So now, with the eye catcher photos, there are things that are beautiful. And several of you have noticed, I didn't do a video on that, but I did another video on with palm leaves. I'm very fortunate to live near a wetlands. So I see beautiful nature, but it can be outside around the house. You don't even have to be outside. And I want to preserve that. The walk was peaceful, beautiful. You can take those photos and put them into a video. So in the video editing app. And then you can either do voiceover, or you can start out with a recording and then add the photos to the recording. Now, so that's for the fun and easy. And I mentioned earlier, Banana Sky. When my late husband, who had Parkinson's, I was suffering a lot of anger because of what it was doing to him, to us. And I had a banana plant growing in the backyard. I was curious. It was interesting. I saw the shadows through it, and I took photos. And I came in on my computer in Apple Photos. I could create a slideshow, and I found it peaceful and relaxing. Mm. And I actually bought a PC to put it into a DVD with a company that made, an on-demand DVDs. Mm-hmm. And so that was my first experience with the significance of eye catcher photos. And also, think about it, talk about yourself. I had a leaf that hung from a fine thread, like 2 feet, for 2 or 3 weeks through rain and wind and everything else. And I was amazed. I did a video of it. I did photos of it. I watched it. Curiosity, eye catchers. And then it disappeared. So I made it mean that I had been thinking about it. I was going to write about it, never did. Hanging by a thread. And when it disappeared, I was lost. I made it a negative. It was gone. And my friend Mary Fran Korb, who was on here leaving notes, said to me, no, you don't need it anymore. It's gone. You've progressed. So we can add meaning to these things and really grow and learn from it.
Absolutely.
The capturing memories, leaving the voice recorder, capturing memories, leaving your legacy. I mean, today's stories are tomorrow's memories. So people think of legacies as really going all the way back, and not necessarily. You hear something and you're talking, you're acknowledging me, vice versa. I say, hey, wait a minute, you may not want to be videoed, but can I record that? And I'll just do a voice recording. May use it or not, but I have it even just to go back for myself. Mm. And then one video, just one photo rather, can be you may create a video from just one photo by extending it and extending it in the editing app. In terms of legacy, when my late brother-in-law was in the hospital, I flew into Philadelphia. My husband had already passed. I flew into Philadelphia. He was scheduled for surgery, and there was said a 25% chance of his survival. Mm. So when I went there, I had my phone, and I recorded. I did 2 minutes. Always these are good segments, 1 or 2, approximately 2-minute segments, when each of what did he most appreciate about each of the family members, and then about himself. And I sent that separately. It was private. I sent that through Dropbox separately to each of the family members. And actually, at the memorial service for him, I played the 30-second recording of what he most appreciated or had accomplishments in his life. That was with the permission of the family. The audience freaked out hearing his voice, but it was there. Now, the sound of a voice is one of the reasons that I did get into technology for seniors. I was working with a mentor who said, need to coach seniors. I said, no, not interested. Oh, you'll make a lot of money. You'll be on radio and TV. And you can't be on radio or TV, in my opinion, unless you have something to show for it. So he set up the site. The creativity part goes, but not the marketing. And what had me set up or go for it is I remembered that I missed the sound of my husband's voice after he died. And I was doing recordings at that point on teleseminars. I could have done it. It just never occurred to me.
Wow.
And I was fortunate that we were engaged 6 weeks after we met, married 3 months after that. And I was in Philadelphia. He was in New York. He came home on weekends. We met on a blind date. His family was in Philadelphia. And so we sent regularly letters. And he did more than I. And I have them all. And I ended up typing them up and putting them in a 58-page, I think it's 68 pages of what he wrote.
Wow.
And that, here's bringing it to current. Last year, when it would have been our 62nd wedding anniversary, I read them thoroughly again. And I was really missing him. And what I ended up doing was I took our wedding album and I photographed each page and I made a video of it.
Aww.
So I have that. And then I sent it to family and friends, and I was connecting in that way. And so that was the form of connection.
Yes.
Ultimately, I now have the sound of his voice because I found an old DVD video cassette that my son gave me after his 65th birthday surprise party. And on Sunday, there was like 32 seconds. You hear a lot of kids, grandson making a lot of noise, but I put it on my TV. I set up a tripod on my table and I recorded it on my phone. And I now have that. So that is, interestingly, I set up a family videos playlist. And interestingly, my sons and their wives in their 50s and 60s aren't interested, but my grandchildren in their 20s and 30s were. And on that playlist, I have the different things. So like one grandson wanted to interview me about his grandfather so he could find out better sense of himself. There are other eye catcher videos. One of the things that it started that reminded me is when my granddaughter brought her now husband to my house to meet. She went to school in Illinois and lived in Florida. They started talking about Brad started talking about what they liked about each other. And he said, you could put us in an all white room with nothing in it but the two of us, and we'd find something to laugh about. Well, I immediately clicked on my video then. They didn't want me to use the video, but I had recorded it in Evernote. And when I found I could create videos this way with just photos and recordings, I played it on Evernote and recorded the audio on my phone and was able to create a video. And then jumping, my grandson related a story, jumping on his father's back at Thanksgiving. And all those are on YouTube, one of the playlists on YouTube, youruntoldstories.com/family videos. And they're shared publicly with permission from my grandchildren.
Got it.
Never put a video up on, and I help people learn how to use YouTube. Never put a video up on public without checking with the person first. Okay. So also in doing this self-acknowledgement, this celebration, communication, then there's fun for grandchildren or even children. You can use the same method of recording, of creating stories, going back in photos in the past for your grandchildren, or even for yourself. If you're going back through photos, it's a good way of getting back a perspective on yourself, the positive things you did and the shifting. And and one of the things I'm working on that'll be there soon in terms of the story is years ago, well, we're talking 30 years ago almost, my granddaughter or my son called up and said my granddaughter wanted me to create a book for her. And I actually created a book, on paper, not in thing. And now I'm in the process of photographing the pages. It's Caitlin's never-ending story and having that in video. Now, people keep their stories, and you'll hear a lot about book and everything else, and that's great. And from my perspective, it's much easier to share with the full family and keep it there long. I don't have to look for where the print copy is or where it is in your computer. Just share it in video form. So that's another reason for my passion. And I do have a guide for how you can create these. And as you see, treasureyourlifenow.com is the website linked to. Sabrina said I have several websites, but on Treasure Your Life Now, I have a links to all my active sites and YouTube channels. I have a tech YouTube channel and I have inspirational Sheila YouTube channel for years. When you go to there, you'll see them actually listed in playlists on the homepage. But anyway, on Treasure Your Life Now, the first link is to Your Untold Stories. And there's a link to get on that page and to get the guide. So I think that about covers it. I take a couple of deep breaths. Any questions, Sabrina?
That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit more about this connection, curiosity, and creativity. In what ways has those specifically helped you?
Okay, thanks for that. I happen to be, most of my life and connections are on the web, especially now, even after prior to COVID, I had some connections locally and networking. Yesterday was actually the first time I went to a brunch there were 10 of us, and it's the first time I've done that in almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. The connecting means that I connect by text. There's a couple of friends and by the way, I was told by Apple, you want text? No, I don't want text. The reason I got my phone was for the camera initially. But there are a couple of friends I text with regularly. I will always check to see if there's somebody I haven't heard from for a while and I want to talk. I'll go on Facebook to make sure, see if anything has been posted that's wrong. Mm-hmm. And do that. Dane says caregivers are so important. It was a way of connecting for caregivers. You can be connecting in groups on Facebook or other things, but using the phone, as I just said, even communicating with myself. I see something, I text myself with the link. Yeah. So the connecting, does that answer some of the, and also in Zoom, I mean, on holidays and family things. And I mean, as somebody I interviewed, I don't know whether I have a video from it, who actually, she was in Florida and her parents in Illinois or Michigan, and they would cook together or prepare for the holidays together. So there's that form of connecting we can do on the phone, propping the phone and following recipes. Mm-hmm. And sharing it and talking. So the curiosity, I think I've discovered, somebody texts him or herself all the time. The curiosity is something comes up. I check it on my phone, the internet, or I'll text somebody, or I'll check my mail. I mean, sometimes I just look, where did I hear that? So look, I just go to find in my mail, and that comes up. Yes, I can do it on the computer, but if I'm watching television or something else, I can use that. So million ways of responding curiosity. And of course, the creativity is creating the videos, creating the art, playing with it on the photo. A lot that got a lot of attention was sunset at Green K. And I had did a screenshot. And I was able to put the screenshot showing all the things. And I said I would probably do a video. Well, I haven't gotten to it, but I realized when I went into iMovie, I had started a video on palm leaves and never finished it because somebody mentioned palm leaves. And interestingly, as I said in the post, I walked that night and I was seeing palm leaves. I wasn't looking for it, but you're connecting with somebody and something comes up.
Yep.
And connecting when I walk in Green Cave, this is the big thing, relates eye catcher photos. To stay in the present, and that's what's so important, I think, staying in the present. Get in the habit of looking at things, whatever catches your eye. I've started conversations with people. I mean, I noticed that I see patterns and textures and colors. And I noticed somebody had tattoo and the pattern in her blouse was like the pattern in the tattoo. And I pointed it out. It was just a way of starting a conversation where you see something. So the curiosity. And then I love my New Year's story for curiosity. I like to celebrate the new year by going to the ocean, watching sunrise over the ocean, and then to Green Cay wetlands and Cotahatchee wetlands near me. This New Year's was very foggy and it took a while to see it. And I got to the Cotahatchee and there was a little girl holding colored leaves in her hand. Now I missed autumn in New Jersey. So I started a conversation with her about the leaves and where did she get them. And she said, and whatever she said, and I just mentioned that I had come from the ocean. Mind you, now we're just connecting. Curiosity, connection. Come from the ocean, and I missed the sunrise, although in video I say sunset. But so suddenly I hear, "Are you a mermaid?" I said, "What?" And she said, "Well, you said you came out of the ocean." So I said to her, I stopped for a minute. I asked her mother for permission to record it. And she gave me permission. So we went back and she repeated it. And I did not put her face on because I knew I wanted to use it. Just the hands holding the leaves. And we went back. And then she said, "I want to be your mer dad or your mer something." And I said, "What?" And her mother said, "Mer dad," whatever it was, I forget. And so I said, "Oh, you want to be my mer dad?" She said, "No, it was something about, I want to hear your story." Whatever it was just great. And so made a video of that and was able to share that. So that's connection, curiosity, and the joy of that. And the creativity is putting it together in a video.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. And I could totally understand and conceptualize how easily with just this little bit that you shared, like just this little bit, can tenfold your connection, which is what we're really here for as humans. We're here to connect.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we have a ton of people watching live right now. Obviously, they're resonating with what you're saying. I would love for you to share what exactly you do and who should be reaching out to you for help.
Well, there are lots of different people. I mean, I work with individuals coaching. I've done classes. I need I'll probably put another one together again with from through and from the lens. We're actually with a group. We meet and have different weeks, different eye catcher things and writing. And it's interesting the kinds of things that can develop. One week we have, I'll say, color, pick a color, close your eyes, pick a color, do it yourself. Everybody on, just close your eyes for a minute. And what color comes up for you?
Red.
So now start looking for red. Take 5 photos, take more of that during the week.
Oh, okay.
Anything red. I mean, somebody once when I did it picked pink, and she said, I saw pink lights in a theater, but you're not allowed to take pictures. I said, I don't think anybody's going to upset for taking the lights. And also what happened in the connecting, her friends got involved in looking for pink.
Oh.
And you can discover things about yourself. So when we did the last time I did this course, somebody was sharing later, she didn't mention, there was somebody in there that said she had chosen blue and she couldn't find any blue. Well, there was blue all around her. And this woman said, fortunately, she didn't say it. She said, how could she not have seen blue? It was all around her. And then what the woman said, what she learned about herself, was she realized how quickly she is to judge others. And so that opened her up in terms of thinking more about that. Another one in that same session said that she had chosen gray for some reason. Gray is what came to what she did. So she went outside looking for gray, finally thinking she'd find it in some rocks or something like that. She finally found gray and then walked into her house. Her mantle was gray. Other things in her house was gray. And what we learn and can see, how being in the present, being aware, being in the now. So that's part of what is available when I'm working with people, either in a group, and it's group. I like group because you see other people. And then it's finding out about ourselves. Just the big thing is staying there and shifting perspectives.
Absolutely. Where can people find more about you? Should they be going to treasureyourlifenow.com or Facebook? Where should people come to connect with you?
Find me on Facebook. I'm now developing LinkedIn. I'm not that active on it, but I am on LinkedIn, and I will be developing that more. And if you want, I can put in the link. Well, actually, if people write to me, I don't want a link to my calendar on Facebook. But if you write to me at Sheila.Finkelstein, Sheila.Finkelstein@gmail.com, and just write discovery session. It can be about anything in your life or using your camera. Right now, that link I would send you was more of kind of just general exploratory session, but I have that option available. So yes, Treasure Your Life Now. There's a link that will give you a guide to the storytelling. Creating the videos, and you'll see more about that. And if you go to anything on the YouTube channel, you can play my videos in the background, and in the descriptions, there's always link information. And so again, if you write to Sheila.Finkelstein@gmail.com and ask for an exploratory session in the subject line, I will send you a link to my calendar.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
Well, this has been absolutely a delight. I so love that you decided to take some time to share all of this goodness with us. For those of you watching live, if you resonate with Sheila and all the goodness that she shared today, make sure to check out her website at treasureyourlifenow.com. And there should be a clickable link in the description below wherever you're watching us. And she predominantly hangs out on Facebook. If you want to follow her, we love to connect people here on this platform in order to make sure we all continue to rise. Any closing thoughts, Sheila?
Well, I do want to say, although I haven't kept it up yet, but if anyone wants to see the shifting perspectives thing, I do have a Facebook page, Through and From the Lens. And when you go to Treasure Your Life Now, there's a link to photographyandtransformation.com. That's 12 years or more. I was doing photos and self-reflecting queries.
Wow.
So you can get a sense of how you can, how a photo can shift. And a lot of those posts happen to be checks. In our mind, communication is really important for me. Remember I said on my thing, it's connect, communicate, create. Is we interact with people a lot, but just within our head.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know what they're saying. We'll always check out the, if in fact, I hear you saying, and find out what you're communicating. So, and I do have 9 tips to effective communication. If anybody wants that, again, sheila.finkelstein@gmail.com, and I would be glad to send you that.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the end of another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our amazing guest speaker, Sheila, for sharing her wisdom and inspiring us all. To each and every one of you, our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us until the very end. Your support and engagement means the world to us. Make sure you join us again on our next episode. Yes, Sheila.
I just want to thank you again. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone here who's watching and commenting. The thank you in the heart. And so I very much appreciate you all. And I'll see you tonight on your wisdom, if you want to tell people about that.
Yes. Every Wednesday we meet for
Monday night.
Yeah, Monday nights. Yep, 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
7 p.m. Eastern. It's 1 hour. We talk on codependency, confidence, self-esteem, mental and emotional health, just in general, and ways to kind of navigate that, and tools and modalities to help us better ourselves. But this is Her Nation. My name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our community, Her Nation, where we continue to have transformative conversations just like this one. As always, until next time.